ido.
Live from Tampa, Florida, and New York City, out of the blue corner.
I'm a physician certified by YouTube, so you can trust here.
And out of the red corner.
I'm trying to transition from casual to hardcore. I've been in the body of a casual for way too long.
Congratulations! UFC.
There's only one en el octágono. Only one en el octágono. Hey, hey, come here and get fun. Something that rhymes with fun.
Gun?
Yeah.
Gun? Sun? Oh, very nice. Very nice.
First of all, let's change that. Rosenstruck versus Almeida.
Damn, but you were typing it down. I heard you typing. The fuck, Daddy?
I don't know. It happened. So, hey, what's up, everybody? We're back in action. Well, a little late, maybe an hour late.
A little, not to feed the stereotype. In this case,
hey,
let me say
you
that.
Know what I mean?
Shit,
what do we got here? Ooh, Danny M is in the house.
Danny M is in the house. How come? How come? Thank you, Danny.
There you go. Oh. And we have, it's me. It's just me, guys. There we go. There we go. There we go. Again, we are live, making it happen.
What happened? Shit.
I think you jumped off the stream there, buddy.
I don't know. Maybe stream.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We have.
But what is? Well, first of all, let's you were typing it down, Jared. I could have sworn I heard you. Fight night, Dern. What the fuck were you doing? La metadata? What were you doing?
Yeah, you know how it is. It's I think the program changed and something changed. It's a little different.
No, the program has changed. That's a fact. But I guess it's what it is. Anyway.
Yeah, we can't have that part, but it's all good, baby. It's all good. It's all good. We're here talking about UFC. We're making clips.
Well, are we though? Because I think first there is something that needs to. Or you want to address it at the end?
What?
Well, what do you mean? What? The news of the day.
Shoot it.
You know, the news of the day. The
Let's talk about it.
The breaking news. Everyone is talking about the buzz on the street. The havoc created news in Twitter. The Ariel Helwani jam. The Luke Thomas. Whatever. Because he did already a video telling everyone that that all of us who said that Ngannou probably is not gonna get a good deal are morons, and that he got.
Who said that?
All the stuff. Luke Thomas. He got a great deal, he was saying. And I'm like, I mean, well, let's just announce and then we'll give our opinions because somebody's hitting everything that they are fed into mixed martial arts world fashion. But the news we're talking about, of course, everyone who's probably either watching this or more importantly is going to watch this. We're talking about the news that were made official overnight. Francis, the Predator, Ngannou finally signing for a new promotion. Remember, he ended his contractual obligation with the tú, Jared, hay un chorrón de ruido alrededor tuyo que flipas entre nos. We're saying, there you go, nice. Francis Ngannou. We're talking about the news of Francis Ngannou signing for a new promotion. Francis Ngannou signing for the PFL. As you may see here, I don't know if you noticed, but that's why I'm wearing this hat that I was given at an event last year that in the Octagono attended as press credentials obtained by yours truly over here. The Octagon doctor, he made a couple of calls and then he made it
That's how we
happen.
do it. That's how we
That's how
do
we
it.
do it.
You know.
That's how we did it that time. We're not talking about all the times. So yes, he is signed by the PFL. He's officially a PFL fighter, and is shaking the entire MMA world. Yet it because he is getting on paper, on tiki tiki, on mouth, what is perhaps the most lucrative contract anyone has ever gotten, right? In MMA.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they're mentioning that it's 7 figures, which is great for Francis. But I'm gonna just shoot my
Oh,
take here.
before you shoot your take,
Um,
Jared, because I just want to make sure, because you're saying 7 figures,
yeah.
that's just one of the multiple prong um layers or elements of the actual contract. Because he
Mhm.
got
Yeah.
allegedly 7 figures per fight. I've heard north of 7 figures, close to 8 figures, according to Bloody Elbow or somebody else I heard. Then he's also getting pay-per-view points. He's also getting gate percentage. He's also getting a seat as a chair in the board of directors of the PFL Africa, and then he got also allegedly a fair payment over north of $1 million for everyone who faces him, for his opponent. So and then there was some other adjacent elements on the deal that I don't remember at the moment, but I can pull up in a second. So it's a multifaceted, multi-stream. Oh, private endorsements. He also can manage his actual endorsements with brands and whatnot. So they pretty
It's a great deal.
much, in the good old Hispanic world, se bajaron los pantalones. They pull down their
They took
pants.
their pants. Yeah.
They pull down their pants. They
Open
open.
the
They open
cheeks.
the cheeks. They said, Francis, this bush is your bush now, and he went for it. Now that being said, again, this extremely lucrative, extremely juicy, and plentiful contract is what they've told us that Francis is gonna get. Now, they
Yeah.
haven't told us how the PFL is gonna pay for this, how a promotion that's remarkably failed in the several years they've been on is gonna pay for
That's
this.
the part. That's
How
the
are they
important part that we have to
planning?
talk about.
How are they exactly? How are they planning to get a pay-per-view draw like Francis Ngannou that's not John Jones? That the numbers, correct me if I'm wrong, Yared, are not the numbers of other historic figures in the sports of MMA, even though he is on his own because of his story, because of his unique characteristics as a fighter, uh, history-making fighter, if you will. And also, I don't know how they're gonna, if they're already failing in the market
Yeah.
where everyone is trying to make it, aka the West, the US, the international, occidental, if you will, market, they are also gonna open shop in Africa. This is something that the UFC, the arguably most powerful promotion by far, has been talking about for years now. They have not been able to do it yet. They recently or lately have been working on being able to get things forward in Mexico, which is here in the backyard. The
Hmm.
PFL is going to do it in Africa. They're saying Senegal, Nigeria. We're talking about very, very, very complicated places in which getting things done is very hard. I remember vividly how it was 10 years ago or 12, 13 years ago with the World Cup of soccer that took 12 years to organize in Africa, and they ended up going in South Africa. We don't want to say why, but everyone knows why. I don't know. I don't want to create any. I don't want to create any controversy, but I mean, it's what it is with
Yeah, it
Africa at
is.
the moment. So all these
Mhm.
things that are there, big ass question marks, have not been answered. They've only said, like the good things, the nice things, what Ngannou wanted to disclose mostly because he gave an exclusive interview I saw this morning to the Zone, because the Zone Europe now they have the PFL Europe rights. So
Hmm.
he was there with Dan Hardy or with some random gringo whom I don't know. Maybe you know him, who he is. I don't know. So this is what surfaced. Now there is a lot here that's not being told, and then there is a lot here yet to be executed for this to be the deal is supposed to be. Now all this laid down, which is mostly facts, done. Now, Yared, what do you think? What are your thoughts? What's your take? How do you feel about this uh, Ngannou new contract for the PFL?
I'll tell you. Um, One thing that you mentioned that is very important is that Francis Ngannou and the zone holds the rights for PFL Europe. The zone is the one that has the deep pockets, so that's how
Hmm.
they are affording Francis Ngannou, because they're paying 300 million for Canelo. So
Very true.
they have deep pockets, so they can afford Francis, giving 50 million to Francis Ngannou, 60, 70, whatever million. So he held out, and he had a good contract, like Luke Thomas was saying. But if you guys don't remember, I do, because I've been a fan of mixed martial arts for many years, more than a decade, north of a decade. I remember
Mhm.
another promotion that had deep pockets back in the day. It was called Affliction, and the UFC was not in a head-to-head battle, but had a little bit of competition with Affliction. They had a
Oh,
lot of talent, and they announced that they were going to get somebody that the UFC could never get. They were getting Fader.
Fader. Mhm.
So they gave Fader a great deal. Paying someone maybe 12 years ago. If you want, Google Fedor versus Arlovsky in Affliction.
Oh yeah. I've seen this fight. That was an
What was
affliction.
the year? What was the year?
I'm about to tell you.
What was the year?
That was, my dear Yared. That happened.
2011,
Hold up.
2011,
20
2012,
Affliction 2. That was 2009. Yeah, in
2009. So I was close. I
Anaheim,
was pretty close.
California. Affliction 2, Day of Reckoning.
So
Wow.
many years ago, many moons ago,
Yeah,
um,
14 years ago, to be fair, to be precise.
14 years ago, it's important to know that for $1 million, a couple of $1 million back then for any MMA fighter was a huge deal, and a huge deal for the company that was investing it. And the Affliction, which was Tom Atencio's promotion, he was a kind of a fashion entrepreneur of horrible looking t-shirts that made a lot of money for him back in the day. So he had a lot of money. The shows were crazy, were very, flamboyant. You got Megadeth playing metal, and you got all the
Wow.
fanfare, and they afforded someone that the UFC couldn't afford or didn't want to pay for, which was Fedor Emelianenko. And everybody's like, yes, this is the promotion that's going to prevail. Look, they gave Fedor all the money he wanted to. They had, Fedor, like Ngannou, wanted to rep other fighters and bring his boys over, and just a couple things that he wanted to do. He wanted to co-promote with M1 Global, which was the Russian promotion.
Classic.
So they started co-promoting. I want you to tell me something right now. Where is Affliction right now?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what it is. I was gonna tell you, and I'm gonna show you. Here's what Affliction is in the t-shirt making business. Of course, it's a joke. They are done and gone. Beautiful t-shirts though.
They're
Look at
done
that.
and gone.
Look at how
Amazing.
subtle. Look at how subtle the decor
It's,
of that t-shirt. Eh? It's just little
it's
details,
amazing.
because life. Yeah, wonderful.
For me, is
But
the wings. The wings are what
for
makes
you,
it a
yeah,
great piece.
while I love the wings and I really fancy the cross behind the skull, to me is the two daggers coming out of the eyes of the skull that really like
Ah,
complete the composition.
what a great point. What a great
Yeah,
point.
it's I think it's like I think it's a commentary in postmodernism and in the death of classic modern art. So, but that's just my take on this beautiful
That's what you
t-shirt.
take.
Just
But for me,
yeah, yeah. But jokes
for
aside,
me,
Affliction crashed. What the fuck happened? It crashed and burned. What happened with
yeah,
Affliction? Shit.
they spend a lot of money on a singular fighter, and now
Mm-hmm.
that creates an issue. They've been paying fighters $1 million in their tournament, the PFL tournaments. You win it, you become a millionaire, you get $1. Now you pay this guy $80 million, 50, whatever it is.
Well,
Everybody wants a bigger piece of the pie. Why should Ngannou get 80 million when I've been fighting in the PFL already for 5 years?
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I'm happy for Ngannou. Ngannou did the right thing for him
Uh-huh.
as a person, for him as an individual, as a free talent in
Mm-hmm.
MMA. But
Yep.
that's going to create some issues. That's going to create some problems. The same thing that boxing has. Oh, you're not going to pay me? I'm not going to fight. And I'm not pro UFC here. I'm not mentioning the UFC business practices or anything. I'm just saying, when we reflect back on this situation here, Ngannou will do great. He will do great things. The PFL, I think that set a great precedent, but unfortunately, setting a great precedent is not going to be parallel with longevity as a fight league. So I think that yeah, it's gonna be plagued with the same problems that boxing has, which is gonna be
Mm.
yeah, it's gonna be difficult. So great job, Francis, but I don't know the PFL, the zone. I think it's gonna be a little problematic.
Well, truth is, like, we don't know what the plan here is, right? Like, we don't know. Again, we haven't heard much about the other side of the business. We've heard Francis and his people talking about it. We've heard how much they are allegedly getting without being specific, right? They said 7 million, 7 million, sorry, seven figure per fight deal, short deal. I think it's 3 fights, I believe it was. So 7 figures, of course. There is the first red flag, right, guys? Because 7 figures could be $1 million, which is what many top stars in the UFC would do, or $9 million, right? Get it?
Yeah.
That's a slight difference of $8 fucking million. So that
The UFC was offering Francis 20 million.
for 3 fights, though, right? Because it was like 7 or 8 per fight, and then I think they give him also some sponsorship or something, not fully, but something like that. But Francis wanted more. Like, here's the thing: there are two ways to analyze this, right? Like, we can, on the one hand, we can be a little bit skeptic, right? And think and go along the lines we've been going for the past 15 minutes, 16 minutes, right? Say, like, who's running the numbers here? Like, how is this gonna work out? Why nobody's explaining it? Why there is no specifics on the numbers? There is like, okay, 7 figures. No, he's gonna get minority ownership of potential of the future PFL Africa. He's gonna have private brand deals negotiated. He's gonna have points of the pay-per-view. Nothing is specific in this shit. Big fucking red flag, right? And then when they're not telling us, like, we also don't know. Of course, they cannot tell us. They delineate the strategy here, right? But we know for a fact. Like, I was checking the top pay-per-view events, Yaret. You know how many, according to Topology, Francis Ngannou was part of, and how many top pay-per-view buys in history of combat sports? Te lo digo, zero, Jared, zero. So they need to sell a lot of pay-per-views in order to have Ngannou. More importantly, to sell a pay-per-view, we know very well, which is another thing they have not disclosed. Okay, you have a guy that's a top dog. You have an assassin, an animal, one of the best to ever do it, maybe, of MMA, right? But then, who the fuck is he gonna fight? Like, we don't know, because if you are trying to promote a pay-per-view, what are you gonna go? Like, schmuckma fuck, from across the street? Like, that guy, if it's just Francis Ngannou to whomever, that's not gonna draw a pay-per-views, right? That's not gonna draw revenue. You need somebody else. You need some competition. You need something going on. You need some juice. You need some opponent. If I may quote the great Teddy Atlas, until there is no opposition, a fight is just an athletic event. You know what I mean? He needs opposition. He needs a challenge. He needs a foe, a heel, a fan, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But you need more than just one single great guy to make it happen. And to your point, I guess that we have already a clear example with Affliction, right? So I don't know, and we don't know, and they're not telling us. And I'm assuming, of course, this has been in the cooking pot for a minute now. They were probably negotiating for a long while we were saying, like, why the fuck is it taking this over a year to be announced or whatever? Why do we have only a few weeks ago the Thai guy from One Championship saying that he was until recently negotiating with Ngannou? Like, there is a lot of obscurity in this whole thing. But what matters is, and what I think is important, is that there is no solid, valuable, getting behind of opponent for Francis Ngannou at the moment in this promotion. I don't know where they're gonna bring it, because now who are they gonna lure into it? Because we know that the biggest stars, the names, the ones that could potentially kind of like come head to head with Francis are in the UFC. So who the heck are you gonna bring? If you bring somebody unknown, how are you gonna build him up? Already people don't have the PFL in very high regards, right? We saw Anthony Pettis dragging himself around. We saw in the promotion last year. I mean, I saw it at the stadium. That main semifinal event, it was peppered with former
Hmm.
kind of like on the decline former UFC fighters. So it's not
Hmm.
like, you know, it's not like they have a lot of leeway, a lot of room to
Fresh
compete with
talent.
the
A lot
UFC
of
to
fresh
build up.
talent. Yep.
Right. Well, they could have done that, right? They could have been a little bit more like low key. They could have been trying to develop their talent little by little, take young prospects, build them up, use social media, use the power of communication and storytelling to, in a 5 to 10 years sort of planning, bring these guys up and therefore create stars that actually sell pay-per-views that draw attention from people, just like the UFC did. With the whole thing, we know already the story. They were trying to do everything to promote the fights. It wasn't working. Then they did the reality TV that clicked, skyrocketed. Then they started promoting. They started bringing big names that were a draw for people and that had some level of competition in the promotion. I'm talking about the Brock Lesnar's. I'm talking about the Ronda Rousey. These guys who were heavily paid by the UFC in a gamble, in a way, they had some competition and tough competition to face in the promotion. In fact, we saw them lose and fucking kiss the canvas several times, didn't we? Get it? So
Yeah.
there was that structure already in place for them to bring these big names that are very expensive to bring over, to make it work, to make it happen, and to raise their profile even more. And then they knew how to feed the loudest mouths that they had, aka your lovely Conorcito,
Hmm.
right? To whom they took the leash and they told him, Conorcito, go by, go make a mess everywhere you go. We don't care. People love the drama. Just bring it. And then we got this unhinged, completely out of the rails, sorry, character that became mercurial, but became very famous, and therefore put the UFC up in the pedestal international, which is Conor McGregor. You don't have any of that here with the
Hmm.
PFL. So I don't know how this is gonna work. Now, I wanna also, like we say in Spanish, break a spear in favor of Francis Ngannou, because Francis Ngannou knew what he wanted. He knew that he just didn't want money, even though he really wanted money. He knew he wanted a legacy that goes beyond his fighting time. He wanted to have directive power, decision making power. He wanted to do stuff in Africa. He wanted to develop the sport and
Correct.
develop champions in Africa. And he got allegedly all that. So we have to tip our hat off to Francis Ngannou. I personally have to
Hmm.
say, because I thought
Yeah.
the negotiation was gonna turn asunder because he didn't have any leverage. So he shut me mouth. Yeah, because he was actually able. He was, I said also, we really don't know what's happening. We really don't have the information of negotiations. We don't know who's talking to, how he's approaching the negotiations, and what's happening in there. But
We called
the
it.
truth is,
We. I'm gonna surprise you.
dime. Yeah,
When
hit
we
me.
when we last talked about this, we mentioned that zone having the only people that had the deep pockets
Wow, you did. You did.
was
No,
the
you did.
zone. So we called it was the show. So it's us. So
Mm.
we called it. So we got to get that
Also,
clip because
we gotta get that. We gotta get it up. Also, I have to say, you just said the zone. I forgot another thing, because I said, like, there are several other things I cannot remember off the top of my head at the moment. They also gave him complete freedom to cross over to boxing and come back whenever he wants, which is fucking crazy as well. You know what I mean? Like, he may go fight, schmuck my fuck in boxing, and then come back and do a couple of MMAs. Like, he pretty much is gonna do whatever the fuck he wants. So again, allegedly. So yeah, we have to tip our hats off to Francis, because from the individual fighter's perspective, he got, if everything they're saying is true, and I don't want to keep saying it, but he got a great motherfucking deal. So good for
he
him.
did. He did.
Let's see
Yeah.
how it pans out. And now there is also the last point I want to make that is positive overall for the sport, is that potentially we got a new strong player in town. Because up to this moment, the PFL, even with the signing of Jake Paul, let's be honest, the PFL had nothing to do with the UFC in terms of competition, right? They could not compete. They could not look at the UFC and say, "Ooh, we're gonna put an event on a numbered fight event of the UFC on a Saturday and at the same on the same prime time as the UFC." They could not do
I don't
that.
know.
Maybe now they
You know
can,
what? You know what?
and that's positive to me. Is what I'm trying to say.
This is something that I'm thinking. You don't beat the UFC by outspending the UFC in one fighter. You're supposed to build culture around your promotion, um, attract fans in a
Mm-hmm.
way that's sustainable. Because
Mm-hmm.
great, you have the baddest quote unquote heavyweight.
Man, yeah.
Francis is a monster. He's great. He's a great acquisition, but is that enough to be a big player, or is that just a power move? Okay, we just got the biggest guy that you couldn't keep, and they're hoping that that's gonna attract other big talent and say, wait, Francis went over there for all these millions. Let me go over there. That puts them in odds with the talent that they already have that are getting lower paydays. So it's confusing. I don't think that that will be, there's going to be a little bit of conflict. I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm happy for Francis, man. Francis got exactly what he wanted. But will that translate into propping up the PFL as a serious competitor for the UFC? I don't know. The UFC has a stronghold on the fan base, a stronghold on the market. They're associated with ESPN, which is the biggest sports player. Their events are phenomenal. They have a huge stable of talent. So I don't know. Francis fights in 2024. Francis fights next year.
That's true. Yeah. We're not even in June.
I
We're not
don't.
even halfway through
What
the
are we
year.
gonna do? So I don't think so. I don't think this changes the the panorama right away. But I think that it's gonna create waves. Are they gonna be positive for the PFL? We don't know.
Mhm. For the record,
You know.
Francis will be 37 in September, by the way. He's not fighting until next year, so he'll be close to 38 um, to jump back into the um, rank, I guess, the PFL. I don't remember what kind of the UFL, the PFL. What do they have? Like a dodecagon? What do they have? Right? Or they just went with the octagon? They
They
just
have,
with the bullet. One, two,
yeah.
three, four, five, 6, 7, 8. It looks like
That's that's
they have a 10 side cage. I want to call it a
that's
cage.
that's why that's the point. If you don't know, it's not ingrained in the culture. It's not out there. You're like, oh, what color is the cage? Who? How do the the post fight conference look? What is the video brand before the fights? You go boom, octagon embedded. Figures, John Anik.
Yeah, well,
DC Rogan. Like, it's hard to compete with the UFC, and I'm not being pro UFC here. I'm like,
no.
you gotta be neutral. You can't
Oh,
you can't go that route. Oh, Francis got the many millions. That's the best league. You
yeah,
can't.
no,
You
100% get
just
it.
can't. It's
And just to be,
short-sighted.
it's very short sighted. But just to be clear, I honestly, truly believe, I hope everything works out. I hope everything that's not being told is actually gonna materialize and is gonna be the way it should be with the information we have, or what we can extract from the information we have, and it becomes a complete success, and the PFL becomes a big boy in the world of mixed martial arts, and they are finally what we, or many of us, have been waiting for: a solid head to head, eye to eye compared to the UFC, because that's gonna just make us fans get
Yeah, but
more,
I don't think
get
I don't think I
just
don't
get
think
more exciting
outbidding
elements, you know.
I don't think outbidding the UFC makes it a true competitor. I mean, you
No, no,
have
no,
to
I'm not
compete
saying
in
that.
the space.
I
Yeah.
don't think it does. I'm saying I wish, hope, and I'm crossing my fingers, and maybe we'll start talking about the PFL so we can, contribute in our own way a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Give us a call,
we hope it
PFL.
works out. We just hope it works out. But if Francis Ngannou is gonna be fighting, Yared Vazquez from out of Tampa, Florida, I don't know if I want to watch. I don't know if I'm gonna pay $60 on a pay per
Oh,
view to
I'm
see.
gonna get on the floor and tap. I'm gonna get on the floor and tap and get that sweet $1 million thing. Go to New York. Then we're gonna go to that bar with the wings, and we're gonna order 100 wings
It's
and
called
just have a
Hooters,
party.
Hooters, right?
Just have a wing fest at Hooters.
A win for
with
against who it is?
all the New York peeps.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know.
Fuck. Anyway, so
Bing
that was
bong.
that. Yeah. I think we've
Dale.
been talking 30 minutes about this stuff. Would you like to just
I
go
think yeah.
over? Huh? What is it?
Beto. No, let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk
¿Qué
about
pasó
Dern
ahí? ¿Qué
and
pasó?
Hill.
Se
I
jodió
just
algo
want
ahí.
to talk about that. No, no, no. I just want to talk about
Ajá.
that fight. Mackenzie Dern
Oh
versus
boy.
Angela Hill.
What an event.
Do I really care about this fight?
Well,
God
I
damn it,
mean,
Ale.
no es fácil. No es fácil. Well, I mean, I just don't know why we should care about this main event. Angela Hill, 200 years old. Mackenzie Dern, just one of the favorites in the promotion. So they, of course, they've given her this,
Mhm.
this fight night headline event. Even though um, I mean, she's the number. What the fuck is the number 8 of an already not very deep, you know, women's strawweight division? Yeah, it's so. I mean, we love it. We want to watch it. I mean, I want to watch it. You want to watch it.
We'll
We want to
watch it.
watch it,
We'll
right?
watch it. I don't have,
But
and this is the
shit.
thing. I'm not working the fights, any fights this weekend, and this is the fight
Oh,
card I get that I can sit down in my
that's
house with popcorn and eat.
shit.
It's
You had a very good point.
bullshit,
Damn.
man. It's bullshit. Every time there's a great fight card, I'm working fights. That's the life of the ringside physician, guys.
That's
It's a dichotomy.
when you regulate the
Can't
game.
when you regulate the game, you
You gotta make
can't
some
watch the
concessions, right,
game.
Jared? You have to
Yeah,
give up
you
on a
do.
couple things here and there, and
It is what
that
it
might
is,
be
brother.
one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mackenzie Dern, number 8, Jared. She lost by decision majority. She didn't look great at all. She was trying to pull her jiu-jitsu, didn't work that well, and lost against Jan Xiaonan in her last fight in October. Being also a main event, as you may recall. She lost against Marina Rodriguez after winning a split decision against Tecia Torres before Xiaonan. She was an up and coming, winning a bunch up to then, even though she lost against Amanda Rivas in 2019. I mean, she's already entering her mature years. She's 30 years
I
of
want
age,
to care
accomplished,
so bad. I
accomplished
want to care
jiu-jitsu.
so bad about everything you're
I'm trying to
saying,
sell it to you, yeah.
but I
A
don't care, bro.
good matchup.
there,
It's a good matchup. We got, we got freaking Angela Hill, who was a champion. No, was she? I think she was a champion in Invicta. No, let me see.
in
Yeah,
Invicta, yeah, she had a great
it's
run in Invicta, but
she
I
got
want to
a
care
run in
so
Invicta
hard, and I
in
just
1997. So yeah, that's that. It's a good matchup, right? Because we have an accomplished jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu fighter against a former kickboxer and a striker in Angela Hill. Uh, they're the main event again. They are the main event, so they are the first fight. I mean, the last fight. They're women. Um, I don't know, guys. I cannot even get the dog to keep looking at me. Like that's how he's looking at the octagon wife to see what's up. She's asking him what's for dinner. I don't know what's happening. He's looking when he's looking above the glasses. Something's happening there. Just like this.
yeah.
I don't know. No, is that a fly around yet? What's happening? Yeah.
No, 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 no,
What's,
no, no.
what's with the look? But anyway, it might be an interesting fight. Yeah. Hopefully it's a banger. Hopefully Angela Hill does one more service to us MMA fans and gives it all. He comes for 2 straight fight victories. He defeated Lupita Godinez. Lupita Godinez, and she
Yeah,
defeated
it was
Emily
a
Ducat.
fun.
December 3rd, 2022. So after losing 3 in a row against Tecia Torres, Amanda Lemos, and Virna Jandirova, so we'll see. We'll see if they offer a good show. Yeah, if they give their all as they should and as they usually do, and we end up satisfied. Now, do you want to talk about any of the other fights? Because here's the so we got not the co-main, but the third fight, starting from the top. It's a catchweight bout, and it's against Lupi Godinez, who, as I was saying, um, has defeated Angela Hill, and against Emily Ducote, which is the no wait sorry, the two last fights freaking damn, I'm so toasted. Angela Hill defeated. So we have Emily Ducote as Lupi Godinez. Lupi Godinez just fought like a few weeks ago, so I don't know what this is about. Maybe they were trying to fill up the card. It's a catchweight bout, so that could be an interesting fight. I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, you have
you know,
Edmund Shabazian,
Slava Claus fights again.
the worst
You know,
name, the pound for
worst
pound, the
nickname.
worst nickname.
100%.
Slava
Michael
Claus.
Johnson is always fun to watch. I think with Andre Fiallo against Joaquin Buckley, it's gonna be a banger.
I'll give you
Slugfest.
my cliff notes. My cliff notes for
Ilir
this.
Latifi,
Lupi
Chase Lopez.
Godinez.
Yeah.
I give you the cliff notes. Chabazian
Give it.
versus Hernandez. Gonna be a great fight. Chabazian probably gonna beat Hernandez very decisively. Lupi Godinez, Emily Ducote. I couldn't care less about the fight. Love Lupi, but couldn't care less. Joaquin Buckley is gonna go to town on Under Fiallo. Michael Johnson, Diego Ferreira, gonna be a great fight. Hopefully, Michael Johnson gets the victory.
Yep.
Mahesha Tate, Vyazlev Borchev, horrible nicknames for one, horrible name for another one. We'll watch it.
Savage.
Don't care. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, that's the
Holy
only
shit.
thing I need to say. Don't
That's-
care. Oh, Orion Cossi, Peto. Orion Cossi, they
He's
thought
not-
he was going to be a great star. He's not. It is what it is. And Chase Hooper.
Chase Hooper
Nobody
as well.
cares about Chase Hooper. I'm so dejected for this
Guys,
guy.
this guy, we're gonna with this episode, we're gonna remove it after this. Like, whomever is watching this episode, gotta know that this is a one-off thing. It will remove for the internet because we are not exciting you guys. We are not trying to bring it up and
We have anemia.
excite you on the freaking fight. What do we have? We have what?
We have entertainment anemia.
We have entertainment anemia. That's
Anemia.
that says it. Yeah, no.
A
gracias,
disease.
get it. Yeah. It's a disease. It can be treated, but it's no joke.
It's no joke. Yeah.
It's no joke. I mean,
It's,
you're a doctor.
you know?
You tell me, no? You tell me, but it's no joke. So
I'll tell you, my brother. I'll tell you, my
I'm
brother.
just gonna. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I think I want to watch it. I think I am gonna maybe
we'll
be
watch it.
multitasking. Maybe. You know.
Oh, I'm gonna be probably I'm gonna probably be on Twitter a little bit and
He loves
maybe
goddamn Twitter.
watching a movie or something, and watching the highlights.
Watching a movie.
Just
Get it,
watching a
please.
like
Okay.
some obscure Italian horror movie that I find. I'll be doing that.
Well, guys,
This card
we hope-
depressed me. This card depressed me.
Damn.
I feel
Damn.
depressed.
It's I mean, it's light as fuck. It's the truth. Anyway, Yared, any other comments, Yared? Should we wrap it up?
No,
I mean-
no. Let's wrap it up, everybody. We love you with our nuts.